The SAF is operationally ready anytime, anywhere. It is capable of a spectrum of operations. But the SAF needs a good logistics support system to sustain these operations. Like the blood that carries resources to feed the body, good defense logistics ensures the efficient flow of resources to feed the combat muscle that drives the fist and teeth of the SAF. As the SAF transforms itself to become more agile and cost-effective, defense logistics support has moved in sync to become leaner and more adaptable. It has sought new and innovative ways of managing defense logistics to ensure operational readiness and sustainability for the SAF, while optimizing finite and limited resources through prudence and cost-effective practices. For MINDEF and the SAF, total asset visibility and integrated resource management are essential to ensure that supply chains are robust and cost-effective in supporting our defense systems. MINDEF exploits information technology systems to make this possible. The enterprise system, for example, is a web-based resource planning system that plugs every logistician from the 3 services of the SAF into one single network of real-time information on all our defense materials.
You get better resource management, and we do this a lot more coherently, better coordination, and people get to see what's really going on. If a lot of things are going on in Army today, then you shift resources and you respond to that. And next week, next month, the center of activity has shifted over to the Air Force for some reason or other, and then you shift the resources over there. There's also a lot more, because of the better visibility, better chance of aggregated buys. Instead of someone saying that, look, my storehouse is short of this and therefore I need to buy, but actually maybe the next storehouse has got some of these things. Actually, we may not need to buy. On the other hand, if all these little storehouses agrees that something is needed at a point in time, instead of each one doing their own individual buys, it's aggregated, you get it cheaper.
The SAF harnesses technology to achieve the biggest punch with what little resources and manpower it has. Likewise, it harnesses technology to provide effective, efficient repair and maintenance work for its high-end weapon systems. At Sembawang Air Base, for example, senior technicians of the Air Logistics Squadron use a piece of helpful hardware to effectively maintain the Apache attack helicopter. The Integrated Electronic Technical Manual, or IETM, is a compact, rugged laptop that serves as an updatable, all-in-one reference guide with database on testing and repair procedures, parts information, and system configurations for the Apache. It also serves as a comprehensive diagnostic analyzer, which is used to assess the finest details on the aircraft's condition and how well its components are functioning.
From the ITM, we can also do a maintenance data recorder download and see what the faults and go into the fault isolation procedure, and the system will actually link us on the step-by-step procedure to go about doing rectification. And also, when the system tells you there's a component failure, it actually gives you directly all the part number, NSN number, and also the location where it is. In the old method, you have to go and search another manual and get to know what is the part number, the details. So it saves a lot of time. So one computer, one click, instead of looking at many different manuals altogether.
Increasingly, MINDEF and the SAF outsource many of its logistics and other support functions to strategic partners while concentrating on its core operations. The organization saves on precious resources and manpower and leverages on commercial best practices to achieve optimal performance for its defense logistics support functions.
Any industrial value chain, including logistics, it is a very long, complex chain, lots of little parts, lots of functions in there. That means having to build up manpower for all these things. Logistics organization, any organization, just cannot keep growing. So you want to focus your good manpower in certain areas. You bring some of these service providers, some of these partners operating on commercial best practices, get them into your network, work with them, and put them all together, then I think we have the best of breed.
MINDEF uses a form of public-private partnership where a commercial partner, for example, finances, designs, builds and operates a facility to provide a service. The Army Logistics Base and the Changi Naval Base warehouse, for example, are a result of this form of partnership. In these two facilities, the contractor adopts the best practice and technology in warehouse design and management, relying on its automated storage and retrieval system to fetch and track goods, replacing the need for tedious manual labor. They are also integrated into MINDEF SAF's defense logistics supply chain for demand forecasting and distribution. One interesting feature of the contract arrangement for the Changi Naval Base warehouse is the obligation on the part of the contractor to sell excess warehouse capacity in the market, thus defraying MINDEF's ownership cost. Another facet of leveraging on external partners is the use of civil resources for military operations. MINDEF actively seek partners with civil resource owners as part of the total defense effort. Instead of stockpiling all that the SAF needs for contingency of war or emergencies, MINDEF has tapped on some of the vehicles, heavy plants, ships and vessels in the private sector by working closely with civilian companies. This avoids capital outlay and also outlay on the total life support cost of these assets. It also keeps our logistics lean and efficient. For the SAF to meet certain operational requirements, it will need to acquire new capabilities by way of new systems or platforms. Together with its defense partners such as the Defense Science and Technology Agency or DSTA and the DSO National Laboratories, MINDEF and SAF service representatives decide what can be done to achieve these capabilities within reasonable limits of the resources given to them.
We are using taxpayers' money, so we have to be prudent in the way that we utilize funds. So the SAF would want to find the most cost-effective solution given the money, the defense budget that is entrusted to them. Over at DSTA, we will have all the technical specialists who will know what is available out there that we can either buy off the shelf, or we can buy and modify, or we can, in our existing systems, just upgrade them. Sometimes the amount of redesign is so much that you can't retrofit or upgrade an existing platform, in which case we will then have to develop it from scratch.
MINDEF uses the lifecycle management process as a governance framework to manage the stages of a system's service life, from initial conception of the need all the way to even how it will eventually be disposed of.
For each stage of the lifecycle management approach, we will have to make an assessment of the relevance of the system and bring in all the necessary stakeholders. We will do a total cost of ownership, and it will cover acquisition costs plus the operating and support costs plus other related costs of having this capability brought in. So that's the total cost of ownership. Once you have that, you will know the affordability question. But we have gone beyond that as well. The TCO is now used not only to make that acquisition decision, but also knowing the cost of operating it. Every year we can compare what we had forecasted the operating cost to be, and then we can measure what it actually is and look at where the high cost drivers are and work actively in bringing down the costs for those areas.
With the right frame of mind and the correct attitude, the defense logistics community will continue to meet the needs of the customers they serve. They will make effective use of our limited defense resources to maintain the operational readiness of the SAF.
The motivation is really at the end of the day that we know that we have acquired a system that meets the requirements, is affordable, and is something that we can support.
Our people need to keep abreast of what's going on and update themselves all the time and getting us ready for the expectations of tomorrow.